Kinesiology 223, Chapter 19. Still talking exercise behavior and adherence. Presentation number 3. Let's go ahead and get going. We're going to start off on page 463. So participants, they begin exercise programs and they have the best of intentions and, they want to make change. There's a reason why they came into the facility. And I talk about all the time, they're either running from something, running to something in terms of philosophically why they came to you to make change in their lives. And sometimes it's because they had a bad doctor's report, or they have some bad family history, or they are preparing for a beach wedding or something, or they want to be able to run around on the soccer field with their young daughter. These are all very real conversations I've had, and I can tell you that what ends up happening is the urgency kind of erodes. You have this initial impetus to come into the gym and make fitness happen. And unfortunately, because even though people have the best of intentions, unfortunately, they come into the gym, they're just not knowledgeable on how to actually manipulate the variables to continue to have success. They'll have great success during the first couple of weeks. You're applying a stimulus to the human organism, just so it's a lot like the single-celled organism. You apply a stimulus to that and it's going to adapt. But our bodies are only so good at adapting. I mean, they're actually exceptional at adapting, but they'll only go so far, if I can say it correctly. And if you apply the same stimulus, meaning you get on the same elliptical, you do the same level, you do the same 15 minutes, and you check that off on your box on your calendar, your body will have adaptation to start, and then it'll just go into homeostasis once again, and you won't get the results. So, you have to be able to not only talk about the efficacy of working out, but guide your clients on how they can be more effective in their programming to get the desired response. And so, you have to find not so much this push for overdoing urgency, but it's a matter of how you have the urgency or implementing urgency to make program adjustments as they work from week to week to week, or even from month to month to month. That's a programming conversation. That's another class. But I like some of these generalizations in terms of where the issue falls, in terms of prescriptions are often based solely on fitness data, ignoring their psychological readiness. I agree with that. Some people are more ready than others. Most exercise prescriptions are overly restrictive or not optimal for enhancing motivation for regular exercise. I also agree with that. I think many times younger, newer trainers train people as if they would train, and I think that's incorrect. They have to work with the body that's in front of them. And though they may have some similarities, there's going to be plenty of differences, and they have to have that individualized mindset. I mean, they have to individualize and tailor the training programs for the person in front of them. Based on principles of intensity, duration, and frequency are too challenging for many people, especially for beginners, and I do not agree with that. Traditional exercise prescription does not promote self-responsibility or empower people to make long-term behaviors. And the reason why I don't agree with this is exercise prescription based on scientific principles of intensity, duration, and frequency falls right in the wheelhouse of periodization. And if you do it correctly on the front end, you'll have the right intensity, duration, and frequency for your person who may be deconditioned. And as they become more fit or fitter, you'll end up changing the intensity, duration, and frequency to better match their capabilities. This should read as prescriptions based off of exercise, based off of principles of blah, 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 that are too challenging, can turn people off. But if done correctly, there should be a but in there, but they don't have it. So, it's a stressor. We're placing that stressor on the human organism. And remember, we talked about if you place a stressor on somebody who's already stressed out, their body's going to process it the same way. Stress is processed through the system that is the human organism the same way. It doesn't matter if it's a spear coming to my forehead or somebody yelling at me. It's still processed the same way, whether it's as you're switching from rest and digest to fight or flight, right? And when you work with your clients, you have to understand it's as much about the hard skills that you see here, but you also have to have the soft skills to interact with your clients and tell them, okay, here's what we're doing with the frequency, the intensity, and the duration. Here's why we're programming this out at this time. Here's what it'll look like in a couple of weeks. As a matter of fact, in a couple of weeks, we'll revisit this workout we did today on day one, And honestly, you're going to blow it out of the water. You're going to see just how far you've come just in 2 to 3 weeks. Said that I don't know how many times in my career, but you have to show the demonstrative change. The intention and behavior gap, they note that this is greater for middle-aged and older adults, and it's attributed to a number of different things. But the thing is, you look at people who are deconditioned and they have this disconnect from who they once were in terms of being fit. And I think you have these other constraints that are placed on people in that middle-age group. Older adults, I think when you view exercise, they view exercise as a process or a means to do something else. Yeah, you're walking to the store to get your groceries, you're walking your dog, and your exercise actually becomes just part of something else, not a purpose-driven type thing. And there are actual and perceived barriers, for this group. They have family vacations, they may have an injury, there might be, time in terms of work. And these are things that all place constraints in the process. And you as a practitioner have to help them recognize those things and be able to understand how they can overcome these things. Now, on this bottom paragraph down here, it's kind of just a sidebar regarding cognitive function. They talk about how participants who adhere to an exercise program for a year had gains in cognitive functioning and functional capacity and psychological well-being compared to individuals who did not. Now, I can tell you, I work in a retirement community. I teach at Harvard, but I also work in a retirement community. And I work with dementia patients, assisted living, and skilled nursing patients. I have about 70 people I work with in that building. And I can tell you that's one of the big pushes we have is we try to have people work out with some regularity. It doesn't have to be overly intense, but it's more about the movement patterns and restoring functional movement and helping individuals who have perhaps impaired cognitive function to regain some of that, or at least, if nothing else, slow the erosion. And that's part of what we do over there. And that is challenging work, I can tell you, but it is rewarding when you see it in action. All right, so with this, the key point, and I've stressed it already, exercise professionals should consistently provide sound scientific information about exercise and physical activity to increase the likelihood that clients will adhere to a fitness program. I agree with that, but those are the hard skills. You have to have the ability to be able to offer that in conversation to your athlete and have the soft skills to deliver it in a way that is digestible to your client. And what we do as personal trainers in a fitness environment, it's a consultative sales business, and it's a short reoccurring sales cycle. You have a lousy workout on a Tuesday, your client's not coming back on Thursday. And it's part of that is predicated on the communication and the ability to build relationships with people. So I say this all the time when I'm in front of a new trainer and I talk with them, like, we're talking about a consultative sales business that is very service oriented with a short reoccurring sales cycle that is communication and relationship dependent. If I were to just take personal training and jam it into one paragraph, that's it. And you have to be skilled at the soft skills to really support and deliver the hard skills that you're learning in all your classes in college. All right, I'm going to jump into the next paragraph, into the next presentation.